Flawless, I know. And this is with flash, so there's no flashback. I'll show you how. First, always moisturize your lips. This is a lip mask from Alpen Beauty. I'm trying to do a makeup look inspired by what I saw on Pinterest. Coco, I don't know her makeup artist, but I will find out. Her makeup artist did this glowy bronzy look, and I'm gonna try to copy it. As you know, I mostly use clean and or luxury products. My skin deserves the best. So I used RMS's primer, and it's called the Radiance Locking Primer, and I also used my Milk Hydro Grip primer. After letting it set, I'm using my Vapor white pressed powder. I used a white pressed powder because I wanted to create sort of a blank neutral canvas for my face that didn't have color. And I saw it was like a really bronzy look, so I put RMS's eye lights on my cheek before realizing, oh, only like Coco's eyes are highlighted, so I had to rub that off my cheeks real quick and make sure it was on my eyes. Then I'm taking my Chanel foundation and I'm just putting it all over my face. I used a brush, but her makeup looks kind of like airbrushed, you know, kind of powdered, flawless. And I really find that beauty blenders give that kind of finish. So I'll be blending primarily with the beauty blender or going back and forth between a brush and beauty blender for today's look. Alright, so while my concealer dries down a bit, I'm filling in my brows with an eyeshadow. I'm using it's a dull brown color. And then I'm taking a sharpened pencil to add hairline strokes to my brows and just make them full. Coco's makeup artist gave her these arched full brows that have a stronger type of highlight underneath them, so I'm just trying to fill in my brows as much as possible to fit my face shape and match that kind of arched full style. Obviously my concealer has dried enough, so I sprayed it with some setting spray to rehydrate the concealer so that it can blend easier. And as you can see, I'm using my beauty blender just to soften those lines of demarcations before going in with my second layer of concealer. This is my Pro Concealer, and it's more of a flesh tone. I used a lighter neutral one with the yellowish tones for the base before going in with this flesh toned kind of one. And again, since it seems to be a really powdery kind of look, airbrushed, I'm going in with my setting powder to blend in the second layer of concealer. And I didn't do that with the first layer. The first layer was just a base. The second layer of concealer requires this kind of powdery finish because this is what people will see. And then this third layer is kind of like a little bit lighter in color, but it's still quite nice. I'm blending that with a beauty blender into the concealer that had powder pressed into it. And it would be a total of 3 layers because that's typically what I do for a full face, 3 layers of concealer. After blending it out with the beauty blender, I'm now taking another beauty blender to apply a white or beige white setting powder. If your under eye ever dries up, you can always go in with your setting spray to hydrate it again so it blends easier before going in to set your under eye. And I guess this isn't actually a bake, it's probably more so like a set because I'm going to press it in with my brush and press in that powder instead of having a strong kind of bake look going on. And again, I'm following the structure of the makeup artist look, so it seems like a really contoured but bronzy kind of shaping to the face. So I'm taking my red, slightly earthy toned blush and I'm kind of mixing that in with my contour to give my contour a more bronzy look. You see what I'm doing? And I'm just mixing them in together to shape and carve out my face. And it's the same thing I'm going to do for the top of my forehead. Take that reddish blush, that terracotta color, add that dark contour color, which is a liquid, and blend the two together on my face to give it a more bronzy yet contoured look. Because that's, you know, how the photo was looking like to me. Now, obviously, this is a filtered photo. There's a yellow filter over it, like a sunset. And I'm in natural lighting, so you can see the makeup in real time. So, yeah. So you can actually see the makeup unfiltered. But I'm doing my best with the reference photo just because I get an idea of what the artist meant and wanted to do. And yeah, everything else is pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna do the shadow at this point and work on the base. And yeah, I'll let you guys watch and see how I blend that in. A smaller buffing brush is what I love for the eyes. It's a Real Techniques brush. And I realized, oh my goodness, I didn't finish my brows. So I'm just going back in to carve out that stronger highlight underneath the brows. And I'm using my lighter concealer underneath my brows to kind of give it that smooth curve underneath. Whereas the top of the brow, the makeup artist seems to not do a smooth curve, but rather a squared out edge at the top. So underneath it's curved, right? But on top of the brow, what the makeup artist does is kind of carve it out like a squared edge. Do you see what I mean? And so I tried to mimic that. And the top of my brow is actually a more true to tone, a flesh toned concealer, whereas the bottom is lighter because that's what the picture looks like to me. Yeah, it's coming together so far. I'm using my buffing brush to just make sure it's really blended, and then I'm adding in pigment to set the concealer that I put on my face. And the pigment kind of matches the color of my concealer, so that's why you can't quite tell. And now I'm going with my transition shade to blend that into my eyelid. So far it's been two shadows, the one that matches my concealer to set the concealer, and now this kind of brickish color to begin the transition shade or the transition into the main shadow. I'm now deepening the color. It's 1 a.m. for me, y'all. I'm just voiceovering, but you get what I mean. And if you notice the reference photo, it seems like a lighter color on the lid and then a shimmer, like a shimmery effect. So I'm adding a color called Grace, and it's lighter, so any shimmer I add on top will pop more on my tone. And I'm adding a shimmer right now that's super pretty in gold. And I'm adding it in with my Morphe brush, my smudge brush, and a different brush. I'm going back and forth between them, but right now it's the smudge brush, just to pack on the pigment. And then I use my fingers because my fingers are more effective. So for packing on pigment, yeah, my fingers are more effective. But yeah, now the smudge brush is what I'm doing for the inner eye highlight. And then I'm also using it for the under eye shadow to match the photo. Then last but not least, I'm adding this darker brown just to deepen the edges and do my under eye a bit. So that way it looks more, sultry almost, or there's a better word for that, but you get what I'm trying to say. So it looks more, smoky is black, but when it's brown, it's more soft. So I guess you guys, you get the gist. Now I'm using my e.l.f. gel liner and the brush that comes with it. I actually think I bought the brush separately, but it's used for gel liners and I love it. It's my favorite. And Coco's makeup artist didn't do a thick eyeliner. It seemed to just be, and it didn't even seem long or dramatic. It just seemed to be like a band on top of the eyelid with a tiny tail. And I'm copying that same kind of motivation. It's like if it is thick anywhere, it's on the line, like the eyelid. It's not like a thick eyeliner in general. Does that make sense? So once I've gotten it to be that general thick but not so thick kind of look, I mean, you guys are watching. I just put on my mascara and then I put on my lashes. And it seems to me it's not a cat eye lash. It looks like it's a full lash that's like the same length throughout. That's what the makeup artist used on Coco. So I did that, and now I'm looking for my lip. This is the color Pitch from ColourPop. And my dose of color is Lippy. It's a peachy kind of nude, since Coco was sporting a nice peachy nude. I then go in with this is the darker color Pitch, but there's another brown pencil that I kind of picked up before, and it's called BFF3, and it's a really beautiful brown, and it helped me get this gradient that you're seeing here. So now I'm dipping my blush brush into that blush and applying the product on my face. And I'm literally just depositing it on my face in the same areas that I see in the photo, building in that color in such a way where my makeup looks more, what is it called? Like more flush with color, more sun-kissed. And my terracotta blush from e.l.f., it's a cream blush, like a tub, and it's beautiful. It's what I use to build color. And I'm building that in, fixing up my lip to work on that gradient so it's more pouty. Then now I'm going in with my bronzer to kind of set everywhere I put the cream blush, but also to add to this super bronzed look that we have going on here, because if you notice, she's not applying the blush or the bronzer on Coco's cheeks per se, but on the side of Coco's face, like the cheekbone leading up to the cheek. Does that make sense? And so that's what I'm trying to follow to frame my face with this bronzed and sun-kissed sort of look. And this is me putting blush on top of the bronzer, and I do that to make sure I get a ratio I like. And then going in with my Sephora Micro Smooth to kind of set. It's a foundation powder, and I'm just using it to set everywhere where my foundation was. So it's kind of like that last step kind of vibe when you have your pressed foundation powder. And at this point, I'm just kind of adding my highlighter to my nose, because she has a strong highlight, like it's there on her nose. I'm brushing out my hair. I love a good bob. Hello. So now I'm using my Chanel finishing powder to just melt all the colors together and give it this final veil of a brown tone to make it look seamless. And I'm setting it with my Milk Hydro Grip setting spray. And boom, yeah. Oh, right. She had definitely did her lower lashes, so I'm just going to do that real quick. And now boom. You see what I'm saying? Like, it looks good. The lips look sultry. The eyebrows are arched and beautiful. The lashes are full and round. And I think overall the color payoff is pretty nice too. I do think I could have got like a peachier lip. But overall, I'm loving it. I think it's a 10 out of 10. So yeah, give this a try. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you in the next one.